I like it. It says I'm. Oh, here we go. I think I'm live. Let's see. Yeah, we're good. We're live. All right. Welcome in. It is Saturday, March 25th, and welcome to Edging a Win. Good morning, soccer and football fanatics alike. We are back here with our live betting show. We are excited because we went in 3-1 last week. We are now 8-4 over the last 3 weeks. That is 66.6%, which is very profitable. And guess what, guys? We have 4 more best bets for you this morning. But before we get into our best bets, I got to introduce the face of this program. Please welcome in knower of all things soccer and #1 fan of VAR and longtime friend from the seas, Mr. Ian Allen from Ian OUFC here on YouTube. Welcome in, Ian. How you doing today?
Good morning, Matt, or afternoon as it is here in the UK. Great to be here once again. Yes, thanks for revealing that I do have shares in the VAR company. I have to say, though, not the most exciting of weekends of football. We are in international break, so we have got to endure these kind of European qualifiers. There is still a little bit of League One, League Two football around in England, and we're going to go over some MLS stuff as well. Probably a little bit more extensive on MLS this week than we have been. But I'll tell you what we're going to do, as we always do. We're going to edge out a few wins for you.
We sure are. Before we get into our best bets, our 4 best bets today, hey, little bit of housekeeping. Our social media is there on the screen. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button. Go over to Ian OUFC. Follow him on YouTube. That is the best place to go get soccer analysis on YouTube. Also, at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see the odds of the most prominent matches this weekend. If you see something on the screen that you want to talk about, or if you have any other questions about what's going on in the soccer world this weekend, please chat with us in the stream. I promise we will get to everything that you talk about. But hey, without further ado, Ian, I want to talk about our 3 best bets in the international soccer, and a little bit different, as you mentioned, international break for the big leagues here around the world due to that Euro 2024 qualifying. So, Ian, I know you spent all week looking at that international qualifiers. What is your first bet of the weekend here in that international break?
Yeah, so the first one we're going to be looking at is today, 7:45 my time. That's 3:45 Eastern time. That is Spain versus Norway, and we're going to be going over 2.5 goals on this game. All the bets this week, well, for the 3 I'm going to do on the Euro qualifying are all going to be over on goals, and that's mainly because the early stages of these qualifying campaigns can be a little bit unpredictable. Spain, they are a side in transition after a disappointing World Cup. They have a new manager, Luis de la Fuente. I hope my Spanish pronounced that okay. But as I said, they are looking to rebuild. 15 new faces in this Spanish squad to face Norway, but they've still got the quality in there. They've still got the likes of Gavi, Rodri, Nacho, Morata. Norway are going to be really pissed off at the fact that they're ace in the hole, Erling Haaland. And it's going to be very disappointing for all of us because we all want to watch him play. He's withdrawn with an injury. Conspiracy theories around that one is it have Man City pulled him out because they're going to face Liverpool very soon after the break. But it is very disappointing. Real Sociedad's Alexander Soroloff will be the guy to lead the line. But that is a little bit like replacing Tom Brady with Johnny Manziel. Or, to use a basketball analogy, a bit like replacing LeBron James with Michael Jordan. Is that right?
That is if you're talking about Michael Jordan being better than LeBron James, that is 100% correct, sir.
No, yes. I was talking the opposite. Surely LeBron's the best of the time.
Get out of here. No way.
Okay.
No way.
Anyway, look, Norway they fall in that category of European sides of being a decent side, but not a great side. And they don't have a huge amount of stars, but they do still have Martin Odegaard, who has been brilliant for Arsenal this season. He's on the cusp of becoming a world-class player. Expect Spain to dominate possession in this one, but Norway will always be a threat from corners and free kicks. I think this one's probably going to end with a Spain 2-1, 3-1 win, so over 2.5 goals is a pretty solid bet.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think Spain is probably a good bet to score a few goals there. I kind of enjoy watching Norway. Chances of them, honestly, Ian, qualifying for Euro 2024, and ideally, hey, for the next World Cup, what is it? And It's kind of only because I would love to see Holland in the U.S. playing in the World Cup. What are they going to be there? That's the question.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked about it when we did our live streams, didn't it? It was one of the things you were concerned about was the lack of star power in the world football. And Erling Haaland certainly is one of those players. So it would be great if we can get him to the next World Cup. And I think those chances are pretty decent and getting better, I would say, as we move into World Cup qualifying, maybe more than Euro qualifying, that the expanded number of teams in the European Championships over the last two tournaments has given people a better chance. And Norway do find themselves in a pretty decent group in Euro 2024. They're in there with Spain being the dominant side, but they're in there with, let's just bring that up. They're in there with Scotland, Georgia, and Cyprus. And the top two sides qualify. So you would say Norway would be fancying their chances of getting that second spot behind Spain and therefore finding themselves in Euro 2024. And World Cup has an expansion as well. We've got more sides in the next World Cup going along with your
48
your US
teams,
immigration
right?
policy.
Yeah.
Pardon?
48 teams?
Oh, I was going to say, I'm glad you said that. I thought it was like I thought it was like a US immigration team. There's going to be like 700 turning up there or
Nice.
something. But yeah, I think 48, which obviously opens the door to more sides qualifying from all around the world and will give more European places. So I would say there's a pretty good chance that we're going to see the side like Norway in there. I mean, just to say, sides with usually with a good centre forward do find themselves in there, like likes of Serbia, likes of Poland. Bosnia have qualified in the past as well with like your Edin Dzeko. So I would say it is a good chance we will see Haaland in the States.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about it. I do agree though. I think Norway is a good team. They have a chance obviously for Euro 2024. But let's move to a team that I'm not sure if you're a fan of. Maybe England here against Ukraine today. Listen, I want to know your thoughts here. Is England going to win? And what do you think? Maybe over under in this case today.
It's coming home. It's coming. Football's coming home. We've been singing it since 1966, and it's never happened since we won that World Cup. But the next game is going to be England versus Ukraine. Again, we're going for over 2.5 goals. This one is taking place on Sunday, 5 p.m. my time here in the UK. It's a 12 p.m. time, Eastern Standard Time. So let's have a look at the Three Lions, and I am expecting them to carry on their good start to this Euro 2024 qualifying with getting a win over Ukraine. England did get off to a really good start with a good 2-1 win away at Italy, which is the sort of result we want to see England getting more off, where we go to like the best sides and we get the result. But it has made this European qualifying campaign really straightforward for them because Italy are by far the second best side in this group. England have beaten them already, so you would say they're going to cakewalk into Euro 2024. Look, if you don't like pomp and circumstance, you probably won't want to turn on the start of this game because there'll be a lot of talk about how Ukraine are heroes, and there'll be a lot of talk about Harry Kane, how he's become England's all-time leading goal scorer, which is great. But
hold on, has he though? Because I thought he missed a pretty big goal lately.
Well, yes, he did. Stop going on about that penalty. He rectified that by getting a penalty, scoring a penalty against Italy. He is now England's scored the most ever goals for England out there. I think it's 54 now, overtaking Wayne Rooney. But Ukraine, we don't know what we're going to get from them. Obviously, it's a horrific time for Ukraine as a country. But what we've seen from them, from any one of their sportsmen really, and from the Ukraine national side, from the games they've played, is they have got a greater sense of togetherness, which is kind of understandable, and that can make them quite dangerous. And also England can be quite dozy in games like this as well. What we talked about Norway not being a good side without many stars, the same can be said from Ukraine. They've got the likes of Zinchenko, they've got the likes of Midrik, so the strength of their side is definitely in midfield. And I think they will be confident that they can maybe get something from this England side. Again, England beating Italy was a good result, but we saw a lot of the good things from England and a lot of the bad things from England. So again, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw that again in this one, but I do think England will come through and win the game. They probably will concede because they always seem to. So again, that makes the over 2.5 goals seem a pretty solid bet.
I'm not hating against the goals, but I do want to talk about England here for a second, and you're not going to like what I'm about to say. But it seems like you're really high on England beating Italy. And if anybody pays attention to the football world out there, the soccer world, you would know that Italy actually did not make to the last two World Cups. So what's the mood around England right now? Because why are we so high on a team beating Italy who, to be honest, that might not be as good as the Faroe Islands?
How dare you besmirch the Faroe Islands? Eh, in all seriousness, look, I'm not that high on this England side, and I thought they did a decent World Cup campaign without being particularly special. They played well in the defeat to France, but what has really changed? Not a lot has really changed. It's still the same manager, and he's still picking the same group of players, and he's still playing in a pretty similar way to what we've seen. I would say the mood in England camp is very much split down the line. There's people that think Gareth Southgate should have stayed in the job. There's people that think he should have left. I personally felt he should have left, and it was time to bring in a new face that could maybe take this side forward. And we keep seeing this from England. There's enough quality in this England side to be up there with the very best sides in the world. But for whatever reason, whether it's mentality, whether it's tactics, they just don't seem to be able to reach that quality. And I just can't get that high and that excited about an England side. And you're right what you said about Italy. They are a team in transition. They're nowhere near the strength of this Italy side that we saw beat England in the European finals 2 or 3 years ago. Nowhere near it. A lot of that side's retired now. They're massively different side from what that side that won that European Championships. So for me, I'm not going to get excited until England actually go out and do something. And the only time we really get to see them do something is when they play in a major tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Italy, England. I give you jabs about how your team is and how Harry Kane's produced his penalties, but I honestly I hope they do well, and I would root for them in the Euro 2024 if they get there. But if they didn't get there, that would be a travesty, right?
Oh, I mean, again, as I said, they're in a group. You've got Ukraine, you've got North Macedonia, and you've got Malta, and they've beaten the hardest side away, and they're probably going to beat Ukraine on Sunday, and so you're pretty much already qualified with those first two results.
True, and I don't want to harp on. We'll move on to our third bet here in a second. But did Macedonia beat Italy as well?
They did.
Okay,
they did.
Just saying.
My in-laws are all from North Macedonia. My wife being North Macedonia, so I do cheer on the Reds, and wouldn't begrudge them getting that second spot and going to the Euros. That's for sure.
Well, to get away from England with our third best bet today, let's move a little northeast to the Republic of Ireland, taking on France, and I'm actually interested in your thoughts on this one because, if I'm not mistaken, France just took care of business yesterday.
Oh, absolutely. They were massively impressive in their win over the Netherlands. We're going for over 2.5 goals. I'll just give the times for this one. This one is on Monday. It is a 7:45 p.m. Kickoff time here in the UK, 2:45 Eastern Standard Time. And we are going over 2.5 goals. Look, this is one where you could pick France on the spread. I don't think they're great value on the money line, but I just think, again, going the over 2.5 goals is probably the smarter play, and it's still decent value out there too. This France side, they haven't changed too much. Still the same manager, still largely the same side. Hugo Lloris not in there anymore in goals, so a new goalkeeper, but largely the same pool of players. But boy, did they go out and put Netherlands to the sword. A 4-0 victory. They were absolutely superb. They ripped through the Netherlands in the first half. They didn't even really need to get out of second gear in the second half. And that is what you can get from this French side. They are, Argentina won the World Cup, but I would still argue that France are probably the best side in the world. You didn't really see that from them too much in the World Cup, which is probably going to annoy them. A lot of times it was Mbappe dragging this team up or Griezmann, but you really saw a superb team performance. They will be hoping they can just keep that consistency going for another 2-3 year cycle, so they'll be in the mix to win the next European Championships. Look, they're going to beat this Republic of Ireland side. This Republic of Ireland side are not a great side. Stephen Kenny, the new boss, he's got his work cut out. They're picking from a talent pool, which is largely from the Championship in England or lower. Yes, there'll be a big crowd out there in Ireland, and usually playing away in Ireland is not the easiest thing. It's a very raucous crowd, but I expect France to go there and get the job done quite easily. Probably win it 3-0, 3-1, 4-0, something like that. So over 2.5 goals should hit in that one as well.
Yeah, and I mean, I love that bet as well. France, I think, scored 2 goals in the first, 11 minutes yesterday? Something like that.
Absolutely.
I mean, they absolutely, their offense looks fantastic. I love all 3 of those bets in the Euro qualifiers. But in terms of Euro 2024, we're 1 year away here from this thing kicking off in Germany. What, in your opinion, is the betting looking like in the early stages of Euro 2024? Who you lean any which way here?
Yeah, well, the betting, it's kind of as you would expect at the moment. Let's just run through it, what we have. I'm just going to be UK kind of, this aren't like American odds on here, so because UK odds, I'm looking on a UK betting site, but they've got Germany at 5-1, and that's largely because they're the host nation. France at 11-2, and I don't think anyone could really argue that they're second favourite and probably are the best side in the world who don't have, Argentina would argue that. England at 6-1,
seems high.
Again, I think that's a little bit too high, but maybe that's more towards the depth of the other sides around the world at the moment, because I don't think this Spain side is that great. They're at 7-1. Italy at 9-1. They look a shadow of the side that won this tournament last time out. Portugal, I think they're a little bit they're decently priced at 11-1 at the moment. There's a lot of talent in that Portugal side. I think they could certainly challenge for that tournament. And in Netherlands, Netherlands 12-1. You never know what you're going to get from them. They tend to always be bridesmaids, never the bride, so to speak.
Yeah, honestly, and that's what I was just about to say, Ian. I think I'm going to take a flyer right now on the Netherlands. It's a good price.
You always back the Netherlands.
I know.
If Netherlands ever win, you don't deserve any credit for it because you back them in every tournament.
But here's the thing, man. Like, you're right. They're always the bridesmaid. But one of these times, Prince Charming's going to get down and it's going to marry them. I mean, listen, they have not, in my lifetime, have not won once on a big stage. And I'll tell you this. I bet big on Portugal, I think in 2016, and they finally came through winning. Ronaldo won, I think, was it Euros? I think it might have been Euros.
Yeah, Euro 2016. Yeah. And Ronaldo basically got them to the final and then went off injured, and they did end up winning that one 1-0 over France.
Yeah, so, I mean, listen, if you can get Netherlands at 12-1, pizza money, sure, come on. You can't hate. I think England at 6-1 is because everybody in England's betting him, and the bookies just don't want to raise him any farther to have liability there. I think that's a ridiculous number.
Let's say hold off on that bet for at least a year, and let's see where they are in qualifying.
Netherlands,
they have just taken a 4-0 spanking to France. So
Netherlands or England?
Let's just see. Pardon?
Netherlands or England? Or who?
What do you mean? I thought you were talking about betting on the Netherlands.
No, I'm just saying. What do you hold off on, Netherlands or England?
Oh, but hold off on probably everybody, but definitely hold off on Netherlands for another year, especially after taking that pasting to France. Let's just wait and see and make sure that they're actually in the tournament before betting on them.
That's true, but I think actually you would get a refund if they don't make the tournament. So, just saying.
Possibly.
Yeah. Listen, that's enough about international soccer. I can't talk anymore about England and Harry Kane. Yeah, I'm going to, for years, talk about him just on the penalty spot. Yeah, and Ian hates that. But, hey, listen, before we get into my MLS and best bets of the weekend, and Ian's EFL parlay coming up here in a moment. Ian, there's not much soccer going on with the international break. Do you have anything maybe from the lower leagues? I think League 1 and League 2 are playing this weekend. You got anything?
Yeah, so there's a few more games in League 1 than there are in League 2. I'll just bring those ones out. So, big game for your beloved Wycombe Wanderers, Matt. There's a few sides missing in that playoff picture today. So Wycombe, good opportunity for them to close the gap on the likes of a Bolton ahead of them. A tough game away at Charlton, but Wickham are one of the most boring sides in the world, so they'll probably eke out a 1-0 win. From my point of view, no game for Oxford United today, so a nice bit of relief from the pain and misery. But a game that affects two of the sides down near them is Milton Keynes Dons versus Morecambe. Both of those sides could really close the gap on the sides above the relegation zone if they won that one. So really kind of hoping for a draw or a Morecambe win for my own personal point of view in that one. Going down into League Two, just looking at the top sides, a lot of the top sides playing sides lower down the leagues, so not really too many great games. Probably Stevenage versus Salford probably being the pick of the games out of all the ones going on there, just with two of the top 6 or 7 sides playing each other.
Yeah, I actually I like the international break because we get to see some countries play and some qualifying. But to be honest, I do miss, this is a down weekend in soccer in general, and I do miss the 10 o'clock time slot of 40 games going on. I mean, you have to too. Yep. And can, just for viewership, why is Oxford not playing this weekend?
Yeah, so they have a rule. If you have more than 3 international call-ups, you can ask for the game to be called off. And that isn't just for players of like your major nations. Remember, that could be anybody from a Argentina all the way down to someone playing for the Faroe Islands or San Marino. So it includes absolutely everybody. That also includes under 21 fixtures too. So it wasn't for Oxford having the call-ups. It was for Cheltenham Town, who had 3 players called up for international duty and therefore asked for the game to be postponed.
You got ahead of my joke. I was going to ask you, just for the record, which team got the call-ups. It wasn't for Oxford.
We had one.
Okay. Hey, listen, that's enough about world soccer news. Let's get into some soccer that's actually being played on the pitch this weekend. The MLS. And listen, the St. Louis SC team made history last week, winning their 4th game in a row, starting in their inaugural season. They became the first team ever to win 4 games, and they did it quite easily last Saturday night over San Jose. Our favorite player, Klaus, scored in extra time in the first half. That was his 3rd goal in 4 games, and that was the 3rd match in a row that St. Louis SC has now scored in the extra time of the first half. Just if you're looking at a betting perspective, hey, going in extra time, you can get some good plus money there if you want to bet on a goal. Now, this team continues to look good, and they do have now a 5-point lead in the West, just 4 games into the season. Tonight, they try to win their 5th straight as they face Real Salt Lake. By the way, I know you're gonna say this, but it's not Real Salt Lake. It's Real. That's the correct pronunciation, Ian. Everybody here in the States say Real Salt Lake. Yeah, no, it's Real Salt Lake. Just like
Are there 2? I thought there might be 2. Is there a fake Salt Lake?
There is. There's a fake and a real one. They're gonna play against the real one tonight. At 9:30 Eastern. I'm going to tune in. I hope they get a 5th. That would be unbelievable to win 5 straight games to start their entire inaugural season. But let me get into my MLS best bet. Last week, I gave out Colorado, Minnesota over 2.5. We had to sweat it out a little bit, but it came in as a winner in the 84th minute. Honestly, all 3 goals were in the second half. It was a sweat, to say the least, but it got there. So the question is, what is the bet or the over today in the MLS? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's Nashville, Cincinnati, over 2.5 goals. And I'm going to tell you why. These 2 teams, they've been in great form to start the season. Out of the 8 combined games, only 1 game has been lost by either side. That was Nashville last week. And Nashville is a great team scoring at home, and Cincinnati is one of the best teams scoring on the road. They just put up 3 goals on the road last week in Chicago. And historically, Nashville is more, I know, of a defensive squad here. But this Cincinnati team pushes the tempo, and it will not be a snooze fest tonight. There will be no defense. And also, in 7 of the last 8 games that these 2 teams have faced each other, the total has gone over 2.5 goals, including the last 5 games these 2 teams have played in Nashville. So, take Nashville, Cincinnati over 2.5 goals. That is at plus 105 at 8:30 p.m. Eastern tonight.
Just a couple of things on the MLS, Matt. I'm just going to see a decent game that I can see in the West. LAFC versus Dallas. I think that's second against fourth. And I'm surprised. Atlanta United, top of the league in the East. That's got to be a bit of a surprise, isn't it?
It's a surprise, but the only reason I think it's a surprise, they're a good squad. They've been to the playoffs on a regular basis in past form. But I'll tell you, it's a surprise because they lost one of their top scorers coming into the season. So I think it was Martinez who they lost, and he was a huge asset to them. And a lot of people thought they would go down in this season and not be that high. It's a surprise. I actually have them winning today. I like you bringing up LAFC and Dallas. I think that's another high-scoring game tonight. But it's a little too juiced. Over 2.5 at like minus 140. So if you are looking at the over/under of that game, you could go over 3.5 or maybe take the Asian line of over 3 at a better price. But both those teams, I think, are gonna put the ball in the net tonight. But yeah, Atlanta, they're a surprise in that sense. Have you been watching Atlanta on a regular basis there, Ian?
So long as there's no follow-up questions, then yes, I have.
Fantastic. All right, hey guys. So over 2.5, Nashville, Cincinnati. But we're gonna, before we sign off, we gotta get to Ian's EFL parlay. There's not a big slate here, Ian. Tell us, what do you have in the Championship, League One, League Two parlay? Last week we won't talk about it, and I know we talked about off air, but QPR just not our friend, huh?
Oh, terrible last week.
Yeah.
Apologies if anyone did take my advice and back it, because it never really got off the ground. Two poor performances by FC Wimbledon and QPR. But let's see if we can do better. We haven't hit it once yet. And I can't stress enough, it's for fun. It's for fun. Don't put a lot of money on it. It's for fun. But I'm going to do 3-team parlay. I usually do Championship, League One, League Two. There's no Championship this week, so I'm going to pick 1 from League One and 2 from League Two. I'm going for Portsmouth versus Port Vale in League One. I expect Pompey very strong at home, doing pretty good form since new manager's taken over. Port Vale, middle of the road side, not much to play for. You're backing a Pompey home win in that one. Leyton Orient versus Hartlepool. Leyton Orient doing really well at the top of League Two. They're just come off the boil a little bit in the last 3 games, 3 draws, where they've kind of let the other sides catch up on them. They'll be expecting to get back to winning ways with a win over Hartlepool in that one. And final one is probably one of the ones that's the most dicey, but it does give you the better value. Mansfield at home to Sutton. Mansfield, a little bit of an inconsistent side. You don't know what you're going to get from them, but I'm hoping that they turn up today and get a win over Sutton.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think, listen, again, just some pizza money to throw on these parlays. That's why we give you the 4 best bets, single bets. Parlays are fun, but that's not really, that's where the house gets you. Especially, it's been interesting. The last couple of weeks, or I think since we started the EFL parlay, it's been some higher odds teams that have really sold the bag each week, with the exception of, QPR, I don't even want to get into them. They took Wickham's manager, and but they're a soft spot. Before we sign off, though, I like that. I've already bet it. We'll put that bet on our Twitter. Again, social media for Ian on the screen there, and Grandstand Betters for our YouTube channel and Twitter. But before we sign off, Ian, I know you talked about your yellows a little bit. They are on a break, but I just want to ask you. I want to update the viewership on Oxford United, because if I'm not mistaken, it looks like the past week they have pushed their winless streak to, I think, 2 months. Am I right in saying that?
You're not wrong in saying that.
Okay.
The last time they won, I think, was the 19th of January against Ipswich.
Yeah, that's what I had.
So,
and it's the 25th of March, so I'm not great at math, but if you at home have a calculator, let me know.
At the moment, things look, when you look at it like that, they look absolutely terrible. And it's been 11 games since they've last won a game, only 2 draws in that time as well. So it's been pretty horrific. And as I say, week on week, they have nosedived down the league to the point where they are very, very serious candidates to get relegated. But I did think they played better against Morecambe last weekend. They were very unlucky not to get the win with a late goal coming around the 87th minute. And that would have really eased a lot of the relegation fears. But they did play a lot better. Next 2 games after this break are very difficult. Peterborough away, Sheffield Wednesday at home. So that winless run may stretch to 13 before they get, hopefully, a win on the board. But we will see. If they can continue the improvement that I saw from the last game, then they might be able to get something, even if they're unfavoured in the next 2 matches.
Yeah, I'm interested in watching them next week just to see what their mentality is, how they play. They have, this will be the second game, if I'm not mistaken, with their new manager.
Yeah.
And listen, Oxford, in all honesty, is a much better team, I think, on paper than what they've produced this season.
Absolutely.
And I know you're sitting on the edge of your seat every week about relegation. I mean, in your mind, what do you think at this moment? They stay up, they go down. What are you going with?
I still think Oxford have got the ability to win 2 or 3 games till the end of the season, which should be enough to keep them up. They're lucky in a way that there are some poor sides down the bottom of League One, some really poor sides. And I know we've been one of them, but there's the likes of your Forest Green, your Morecambe, your Accrington Stanley, and your Cheltenham, and they've been really bad.
Yeah.
And they don't look like they're going to win too many games either. So it does mean that Oxford maybe don't have to get that many more points to be safe. But it's just been a season where everything that seemingly can go wrong has gone wrong. And I don't think anybody predicted that it would be quite as bad as how it's been.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Oxford's staying up. We'll just have to wait and see. I think there's about 8 games left in the season. But thanks, guys, for joining us here at Edging a Win. Just a quick recap. Best bet number 1, Spain, Norway, over 2.5 goals. England, Ukraine, over 2.5 goals. Republic of Ireland, France, over 2.5 goals. And it's been a over day. We're going to have Nashville, Cincinnati, over 2.5 goals here on this Saturday evening. Hey, we are on fire. 8-4, 66.6%. Put those bets in, get it going, win some money. And I think we're back next week at 9 or 10 o'clock.
Our clocks go forward tonight, so it will be 9 o'clock your time.
9 o'clock next week, and we'll be back to Premier League. We'll have all the big leagues and stuff. So, hey, for Matt, for Edging the Win, Ian over at Ian OUFC, go subscribe to his channel. It's been a fun Saturday morning with you all, and we will see you next week.